cultural pushback against trends toward obesity. Again, for better or for worse, from a public health standpoint, for the better, but perhaps from a inclusion standpoint, for the worse, maybe. There's a lot of success in preventing obesity in Japan. Japan also has I think it's called a monoculture, where most people that live in Japan share similar values and similar goals, and not being obese is definitely one of those goals.
And then, oh yeah, speaking of Japan again, where this law, the Metabo law that we just discussed, their most popular film of all time is called Spirited Away. And I had never heard of this until this morning when we were researching some things prior to doing this reaction video. And apparently is it a story about a young girl and her parents who go to explore an amusement park that is deserted. And then the parents happen upon this, I guess it's a buffet, that's what it looks like. And they start eating the food without permission, and they keep eating and keep eating, keep eating until they become pigs. So what is the moral of the story here?
According to reviews, apparently the moral is not clear, and we're not sure. We need to decide for ourselves. But this certainly seems like I guess, cultural pushback against trends toward obesity. Again, for better or for worse, from a public health standpoint, for the better, but perhaps from a inclusion standpoint, for the worse, maybe. There is a lot of success in preventing obesity in Japan. Japan also has I think it's called a monoculture, where most people that live in Japan share similar values and similar goals, and not being obese is definitely one of those goals. Now, it's kind of unclear if they're doing this for the right reason. Perhaps they just want to be accepted in the culture, but even if they're doing it for the wrong reason, it will bring some health benefit to that culture.
Yeah, certainly health outcomes and lifespans much better there. Thinking about the movie, I mean, there's wide-ranging interpretations. Some people say this is a reference to ancient Rome, and that there's mythology components to it. Some people say it was specifically about people who were greedy during a Japanese recession. And then other people will say, hey, this is just a propaganda piece to influence children because it's an animated film, and we want to instill that very early so that kids are frightened of over-consuming food. So I could see that. If you're a young, impressionable child and you're watching this movie, you think, oh my goodness, if I eat a lot of food, I'm going to turn into a pig.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. Gluttony is also discussed in ancient times, including in the Bible. But as many people know, it's calories in, calories out, as everyone knows at this point. So a lot of individuals who are obese, they have become obese over a long period of time, and they have very low lean body mass. They are not active whatsoever. And from a standpoint of how much they eat versus how much a lot of individuals eat, including myself, they actually don't eat a lot of food. They just don't burn many calories.
Yeah, they may have some people, if they are that, under-muscled phenotype, they're over fat, but normal BMI, skinny fat, sometimes it's called, then yeah, they can absolutely be in a situation where, hey, I'm eating, 1,600 calories a day and I'm not losing weight. That may very well be the case if they only have 80 pounds of lean body mass.
Yep. Again, if somebody is listening and they're wondering, am I skinny fat? Do I need to lose weight? Do I need to gain weight? When I was 22, I fit in these clothes, and maybe I need to fit in those same clothes now that I'm 32 or 42.
With 3 kids.
Yeah, with 3 kids. Anyway, that's pet peeves of mine that don't need to discuss. But again, going back to body composition, a healthy range for most females is about 20 to 33% on a DEXA. And yes, I've seen variations between DEXAs and in-bodies up to 10%. So there can be quite a bit of variation. DEXA, it seems, usually says you have a slightly higher body fat percentage. So if you're an individual who you're going to have a healthy body fat percentage, but you just want to have a low number for whatever reason, maybe flex on your friends, then maybe do a biometric scan at your gym or do an in-body, and then avoid the DEXA. But the DEXA does have bone density. It does have fat-free mass. It also has the visceral adipose. So it does seem objectively superior in my degree. Greg Doucette would also tell us DEXA is not the gold standard. DEXA is kind of considered the best that we regularly do. Nobody really gets MRIs for body composition.
Yeah, I mean, even a DEXA for like 300 million Americans would be a ridiculous ask, let alone MRI to see what someone's body composition looks like. For that reason, the BMI is still in favor. Waist circumference adds another level of detail there.
Mm-hmm. We didn't mention males, I guess. For males, 7% to about 18 or 20% is a healthy body fat percentage for males.
Yeah, and I actually think that some companies here in the United States on their own accord have come up with an initiative that is, kind of contrasts with what Japan has done. So Japan, they had this film that was produced that's really discouraging, overeating, over-consuming, or gluttony. And then we've had a number of companies that have come out with plus-size mannequins to try to combat this problem.
To try to combat the problem?
Yes.
All right.
They're putting it everywhere so people see it and they know it's a problem. Some people just don't think about it. They're like, mannequins are the same size they've always been. Obesity must not be an issue. But now you see it, you go into the store and people are like, wow, maybe we need to start taking this seriously.
I don't know if that's the intended effect, but that's a good idea there. I thought that you were going to go to the direction of companies that provide free gym memberships, like our company does.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that is what we do.
That's a good initiative.
Or that incentivizes individuals via various competitions to improve their body composition without any regard to body weight or whatnot, or just to frequently attend, go to a gym frequently. And if you go past a certain degree, then there's an incentive for that as well. So there's a lot of positive incentives rather than negative incentives that businesses can and should do on their own. Some businesses sign up everyone for our direct primary care or for individualized medicine. So there's a lot of ways to invest in the health, and body composition is certainly part of health of your employees.
Absolutely.